We're good to go.
Okay. Good evening. This is our nonprofit committee for the city of Hendersonville. I am Mayor Jamie Clary. I'm not the chairman of the committee, nor am I on the committee. However, I do want to get you all started, and the first thing on our agenda is to accept the agenda. So I will entertain a motion to do that. So move. We have a motion
Second.
from Alderman Waters, a second from Alderman Dixon. Any discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Those opposed, please say no. That passed unanimously. We have no minutes to approve, and the next item of business is to elect a chairman. I will entertain nominations at this time.
I nominate Karen Dixon. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I second that.
You don't have to second it, but we'll take that as a motion of congratulations almost, I guess.
I want to see if anybody else wants to do it. I mean, not that I don't, is there anybody else that would like to?
Any other
I'll
nominations?
I'd like to leave my
I'm
office
writing your
open.
name down.
I would certainly open the floor for nominations. However, Karen Dixon has sat on this committee before, and I feel that she would probably be the best as the chairman to run this committee.
Okay, any other nominations? All in favor of Karen Dixon serving as the chairman, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, please say no. That passes unanimously. Chairman Dixon.
Okay, next item is to elect a vice chairman. Do we have any nominations?
I nominate Rudolph.
That's it.
I second,
Any,
even though we don't need a second, but I agree.
that's right, we
I
don't.
didn't know his name.
Yes.
Does anybody else have another nomination? Okay, do you accept the nomination?
I'll accept the nomination. Thank you.
Okay, so all in favor of Alderman Bergdorf, say aye.
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 I used to know him as with a different
That
last name.
passed unanimously.
Your
okay.
confusion is understood.
Okay.
And now we will turn it over to Mayor Clary, and he can talk a little bit about the responsibilities of the committee.
So years ago, the city of Hendersonville started entertaining requests from nonprofits to seek city money. This has probably been going on for 40 years. About 15, maybe 18 years ago, the Board of Mayor and Aldermen set up this committee to review those instead of going in front of the board or going in front of the finance committee. Some folks that are tasked with just that. You're on this committee because you're either the chairman or vice chairman of the general committee or the finance committee, or you were elected by the board to serve as the fifth person, and that's Jenna. What your responsibilities are to do is look over the information that the finance department have given you, mainly Tamara. Look over those and make some recommendations. You do have some parameters. You can't just give everybody everything they want, and you can't give them more than they want. You do have some parameters to stay within there, which is the ordinance that the board passed. At the end of the day, what you're doing is you're making a recommendation to the board, and that will be incorporated in our budget. When it gets to the board, somebody can make a motion to change what your recommendation is. The board may not agree with what your recommendation is. At the end of the day, that will be part of our budget. So what the board and what the city code expects of you is to make a recommendation that will be part of the city budget. You can meet as often as you want to. You can meet as whenever you want to. There's no specified time when you do that. It is really up to y'all.
How many do we have on now?
You had how many nonprofits?
Nonprofits, yeah.
Ooh,
I think I counted 30, so.
okay.
Everybody.
Yes, we have, and then we have 5 new applications.
There are 3 organizations that did not submit applications, and they have contacted me. Actually 5, and they've contacted me since. 2 of them has since turned in their applications. Let me tell you who the other ones are. Foster Families Network, Original Hendersonville, and Leadership Middle Tennessee. All of those are 501c3s or 501c4s. So they fit the parameters. They just, for one reason or another, didn't get their application in.
Who was the second one?
So the second one is Original Hendersonville. That is other property owners and business operators at West Main Street.
Foster
Is that
families.
It is. They've been in existence for maybe 2 years. They've only been a 501c3 for about a year. Foster Families Network.
Foster families.
So is that new over last year? Is that
Yeah, they did not request. None of these requested money last year. Leadership Middle Tennessee may have requested money at one point. Foster Families Network, Original Hendersonville,
Okay.
and Leadership Middle Tennessee.
All based here in Hendersonville.
Leadership Middle Tennessee, their office is in Hendersonville, but Obviously, they serve.
Is there information in the packet? There's not yet.
So my question for you is, do you want me to ask them to submit something?
I think that we probably are not going to come to a bottom line today.
I don't think we will.
Because
yeah.
I really want it to everybody to review the information.
Yes.
And so I'm thinking that if they can get it to us within the next week,
Okay. Okay.
but otherwise I would cut it off.
Deadline for submitting applications.
Mhm.
The deadline was March 17th.
We've had 2 submitted since then. That had some sort of little bit of turmoil going on, and we accepted their applications. So I'm asking about these 3.
We want to put a hard deadline or set another date for a hard deadline. Can we do that? Or do you just want to?
Yeah, I don't,
Is that something, or you just want to say, okay, these 3 have to get it in?
just
by the-
these 3
Okay,
is what
that's
I'm
it.
thinking.
Okay.
I agree.
What's the deadline?
I'm saying
Friday
okay
the
for today.
14th,
Oh, what is today? The 11th.
11th.
Oh, Friday.
Friday.
I'm good with that.
Okay.
Can we vote on that? Do we need to vote on that?
Yeah, you probably do.
Okay, all in favor? Who would like to make a motion?
I'll make a motion. We end the close it. What do you want to call it?
Nonprofit applications.
Deadline.
A nonprofit applications deadline is April 14th, at
5.
5 o'clock.
Okay.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. That was unanimous.
The reason I asked you to do that, to actually make a motion, is because sort of the second subject I'm going to talk about.
Okay.
As part of the executive budget a couple years ago, I wrote I didn't write the checks, I signed the checks for 2 nonprofits for sponsorships. Some of the aldermen gave me a hard time because those went to nonprofits, and they pulled out the ordinance that says that all money that goes to nonprofits has to be considered by this committee. The way I look at what this committee does, though, is you don't expect anything from those nonprofits. It is not a transaction. It is really a contribution. And that situation that I was through is that it was a transaction. We got something for the money that I spent. However, since it's sort of in a gray area, I want to mention something to you. And this is something that's been bothering me for some time that I feel like this committee should consider, is that we have some nonprofits that benefit from the resources of the city of Hendersonville. And I'll give you examples. We have some events that we have here in the city, and we pay the expenses and the nonprofits reap the revenue. So we have some events where they sell tickets, or they have vending booths, or they might sell concessions, that kind of thing. Again, we spend the money to put on the event, yet the nonprofits are making the money. These are very worthwhile nonprofits. Live Love Nashville, Make-A-Wish Foundation. I had another one in here, Christmas for Kids. They're never reviewed by this committee. They've never been reviewed by this committee, yet they are reaping the benefits of some of the expenses of the city. It's a gray area that troubles me a little bit. They don't go through the process like everybody else does, even like all these other organizations do, even though these 3 make more money than probably half of the organizations on this list. We're not writing them a check, but we're writing a check to somebody else. And then the benefits of those activities are going to them. And like I said, the ordinance states that nonprofit contributions go through this. That's not really a contribution, but certainly in a gray area. Let me talk about the 2 types of those events. The first type is run by our Parks Department. Some of the concerts, some of the other events, that the Christmas tree lighting, that's a good example. Obviously, it's something that benefits the community, but there are organizations that benefit from that. We're paying the cost, but they're sort of reaping the benefits of it with parking fees for one of the events that we do, concessions, that kind of thing. The other type of events are not sponsored or run by our staff, but they're coming from organizations outside Hendersonville, very often for-profit organizations. Here's the example: Lacrosse America. That is a for-profit company. They come in, they go to the Parks Board, they get permission to use our park with the agreement, just like all of these organizations do, with the agreement that they will make a donation to a local charity. The Parks Board has 100% freedom to decide who that local charity is. And very often organizations will say, we would like to give money to this. And again, these are worthwhile organizations. They are very worthwhile. But we don't give any criteria to the Parks Board on which organizations we prefer. And sometimes those organizations are from outside Hendersonville. So we have for-profit companies coming in using our facilities, and the ones that benefit the most seem to be organizations that don't really have much to do with Hendersonville. I have a hard time with that. So what I'd like is really sort of some, I guess, some direction for y'all, from y'all. Do y'all want to consider how we handle that? Because right now, it's really the Parks Board that considers where that money goes, or it's the park staff.
And I brought this up 2 years ago. Jamie and I had, Mayor Cleary and I had several conversations about this, and I really didn't get any push with the last committee. That they did not want to do it. But I think that it's worthwhile to go through the ordinance and take it on ourselves, go through the ordinance and put some type of process in between the Parks Department and this committee.
So as I understand it, in the past, Park has always made that decision.
Park staff or Parks Board has, not this committee.
It's not, it's not fair.
Well, and I don't know if they've had guidance in the past or not, but I think it's worth the city's efforts to provide the Parks Department a list of Hendersonville-based charities. I think that makes sense.
I do
If
too.
there's events being held in Hendersonville that needs to benefit a Hendersonville charity. You know, I love all the other charities. There's not many bad ones out there, but I would much rather see the money spent here, stay here, benefit here.
It should. Even though there are a lot of county-wide on this list. But usually when I'm going through looking at in their application, it will state where their contributions are coming from. And, you know, one of the things that my antennas go up on is Gallatin donating, is the county donating, and that we're not as heavy as the county's donation or Gallatin's donation. So, but you can see that when you look at their financials.
I think providing Parks Department a list of all the registered 501c3s
Yeah.
in Hendersonville is certainly something. I don't know if we need a resolution
Or
going forward.
amend this ordinance. We could do that.
Well, what about them? Who is on the committee that makes the decisions that who allows? How does the Parks Department know who to allow in?
I think that's up to
Really
the
up to them,
Parks
yeah.
Board.
Should be
I mean, do they have
should be up to this
guidelines?
board, shouldn't it?
There are no
It-
guidelines. Should there not be
It
some
hasn't been in the
guidelines?
past.
That's what I think so. Now, I think what they've done have been incredibly beneficial to
Sure.
a lot of nonprofits, but without any guidelines. And we also don't have much accountability on it. I asked one nonprofit who was the designee
Mhm.
to receive some money, how much they received. And this is 4 months later. And the person said, I don't know that we received anything.
So there needs to be some parameters and some accountability up there.
That should come before this board, shouldn't it?
It should.
I think.
How do we make that happen? What is that going to take?
I'm happy to talk to Jesse and sort of figure out. Maybe you have this list of here of people that are going to get a direct contribution. Maybe you have another list that includes these folks that could get a contribution from the events.
Sure.
Right.
And that would be a recommendation from y'all, and then we would have an ordinance to that effect. Or maybe all the nonprofit money goes into one pool and we designate at the end of the year. I think that's a possibility too. I could talk to Jesse and we could see what other cities do.
Let's do that.
Okay.
Yeah,
That way, we'll
because nothing that we do right now will impact this year, because most of the events for the
Yeah.
year are set.
Mhm.
And you really can't change the schedule on these
Sure.
events and nonprofits, so that are expecting to benefit from what's already scheduled. So
But looking forward, we can
we can,
implement some change
right, we can
parameters.
maybe at our last meeting, before we submit this to the budget, we will work on that requirement and hear from Jesse.
One other thing I want to mention to you is, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I got a question. You can do.
Okay, so you should have the spreadsheet updated from Tamara.
Yeah.
I have my ideas if you would like them, but I am not on the committee. I do want to make sure that y'all set a meeting before you leave. That's very, very important since y'all are here.
Yes.
And that's two questions. Who's on the committee? Just This group here?
The committee
Yeah.
is general,
No, who, oh, okay, go, I'm sorry.
the general committee's chair and vice chair, the finance committee's chair and vice chair, and then a mayor appointee, which is Jana.
So
So,
it's
Board
I
appointed.
didn't know. I
These
didn't know
two.
who's on the committee.
Bob and I are not.
Well, you just told me, you just told me to be here.
I did.
I said, if you ain't here, I got work. I'll put that back on your head. Okay, my next question, Mayor, is I think we've all been through the Hendersonville Citizens Police Academy.
yeah, I have that noted as well. Yeah.
Why are they asking for
Yeah.
$5,000?
I'm gonna turn it over to Tamara now. She has the
Yeah.
application material and I'm gonna go sit down there outside the range of things. Thank you.
Outside of the range of camera.
That way you can
Thank you,
take
Tamara.
pictures.
First of all, before you start, I would like for you to tell us if you see any applications that are as they came in, did you see any of that with missing information or
Yeah, there were actually a few that were missing information.
Okay.
The one from the Vietnam veterans of Sumner County had some information. I reached back out. They had it turned in early. I reached back out and asked them for some additional information. The one from Sumner County Sheriff's Dare Program had a little bit of information. I had to go back and get some additional information. And then same thing on the one for the library, which was turned in late.
okay,
And then also, that might have been the only other one. The library one was, she was struggling a little bit because it was first time, completing it and whatnot. So,
okay, yes, because of the turnover.
yeah, because of the turnover.
I understand
Absolutely.
that.
Where's the
Um,
library one? Is it up at the top? Oh, there it is.
They-
Yeah.
They're in order, but based on this list in the book. So
Yeah.
thank you for doing that.
Yeah, and say
Yeah.
the senior citizens of Hendersonville and then the library are not in order in here because they came in late. I had the packet all put
Okay.
together already, so they are out of order compared to the spreadsheet, but everything else should be in order. in
Okay.
there.
So let's go, before we do that, I want to go back to Alderman Waters' question. And like I said, I focused on the new applicants. And with the thought, for the last 3 years, we have not given anybody more money. We've tried to keep our bottom line the same. Which and I think Forward Sumner got a little bit more money last year as what I can remember, but I had the same thought because we fund the whole purpose of the Hendersonville Citizens Police Academy is to supplement the police department on equipment. So I feel like we're passing money back and forth. You know what I'm saying? I was a little iffy on that
I
application.
brought it up, Mr. Chairman, is that, I was in it for years. And we had drives there, we had a drive on this, we had a drive on that. We got all kinds of income coming from
Yeah,
merchants.
Yeah, it look,
I mean,
there's a lot of money that they have on hand right now.
Yeah,
I have that.
but
Here, I'll.
it doesn't,
um,
I just can't
It's-
understand why they want $5,000.
It was not specifically stated why. It said that they were looking for, but it did say that, they were raising money for training equipment and other equipment, but it didn't say specifically what prompted the application this year, because we've never had one before. So that one, I had that same
Do you know how
same
much
thought.
the dues are a year?
The dues,
You pay dues.
I don't know.
Did you ever go?
I've never gone through the academy because it was COVID year and they shut it down,
Okay.
and I haven't done it since then. But
If you're
I'll still go to the
gonna be a member and active, you pay dues just like in.
Right.
And
they got $175,000.
we had campaign drives going out to YouTube and they make a lot of money.
Yeah. And I agree with that, but it just seems like we're passing citizens' money to the nonprofit, but yet that's supplementing the police equipment, but yet the citizens' taxes pay the budget
For
for
the-
the police department. So it just, I feel like it's circular. It's,
I don't know what, I don't know if they could buy what we bought at the police department and put in their budget.
Yeah.
Makes sense to me. I don't know.
I had a concern about United Way as well. They were asking for 10,000. That's a new application. We've never been asked for any money from United Way.
Can I mention something about that?
Do what?
Can I mention something about that?
Please.
Okay. So United Way we've typically done is their drive that they do every year, and we allow the staff to contribute and withdraw money from their paychecks. One of the things we talked about maybe instead, and I think they generated $3,000 from that.
It's in their application.
Okay.
I think I noted it.
And as a way to sort of relieve our finance staff of having to do that, I recommended that they seek a contribution this way.
You did. Okay. So I would like for everybody to go back and read at least the new applications and any of the anomalies that Tamara would like to tell us about. I also had a concern with the amount that the DARE program was asking for. Thought it was exorbitant for $30,000.
Yeah, I actually talked to her a handful of times as she was filling out the application. And she had no idea how much to apply for. And I kind of gave her some examples of ones from prior years of, the ranges and stuff. And so I am, I think that's just not understanding the purpose and, the limited funds that are available for, these allocations.
So I'm going to certainly recommend to amend that down some, but again, I guess we have another meeting starting in this room. Is that what's going on? Okay, so sorry, we got a late start because we had overlapping meetings. So Tamara, is it okay if you send us an email, the folks just send us an email of the holes in the applications so we can move on, set a date for our next meeting
Absolutely.
and get this next meeting started. I don't even know what meeting it is. I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
So
It's his.
yeah.
He's very general.
Thank you, Tamara, for doing that for us.
Of course.
Thank you.
And then does anybody can have any times that they are not available? I know that in the past, we've met as early as 3 p.m.
Just let me know when and we'll see.
If you want to send out an email, we'll respond to that.
Mhm.
We'll check our calendars and meet back here as quickly as possible.
Yeah, we need to do it in the next week, I think, because we're going to have a couple meetings and we need to get the bottom line right for the budget.
Right.
Okay. All right. Well,
Motion.
you got a motion to adjourn?
Second.
Second? All right, we're adjourned.